And yet, people are primed to be very afraid.
And, 9/11 was a perfect storm, right? I mean, that was a horrific attack that came out of the blue sky on a nice summer morning. So, I can understand how that fear was generated, but it's fascinating to watch the polling because fear of terrorism drops off sharply, spikes after 9/11, but then drops off sharply, bottoming out around 2004. By 2013, it's back up to where it's approaching right after 9/11. By 2016 in the election, most Americans said that's their number one concern. Even though in that time period, there hadn't been any reason for Americans to be afraid again. It was just a repetition and this strange position where the intelligence communities who are supposed to be protecting from us are the ones who are scared of it, right? They're the ones saying, ISIS, 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 you got to give us more power so we can go after ISIS. There's not a single case of a person who was trained in an ISIS terrorist training camp in the Middle East who came here and harmed anyone. Not a single case. And yet, that took up every news moment for years prior to the election. And I think that had a big impact on the way Donald Trump was able to exploit that fear and get in charge.
They had to call the threat levels yellow, red.
Right.
I think we have time for a couple more questions.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Ariel Zeitlin, and I'm a reference librarian. So when I hear you talk, I want to just verify what I'm understanding. So it's as if, when you say that before you had a criminal predicate for targeting subjects of investigation, you're saying your search strategy was based on somebody having performed criminal acts?
No, not necessarily.
Or having criminal...
So, criminal predicate. So it's just a reasonable suspicion this person is going to break a federal law.
Okay.
So that reasonable suspicion might be, I saw him buy a ski mask, and I saw him casing the bank, and I saw him buy a gun. Okay, a reasonably skeptical police officer might say, maybe that guy's up to no good. Right, but they haven't committed a crime yet.
All right, so, but once you take away the criminal predicate as your search strategy and you widen the search strategy, so it's like you're going on Google instead of doing a proper search on a search engine, you're going to get thousands and thousands of results. So is that what happened? That we became increasingly less safe because our search strategy was too wide for us to really monitor those results?
Right, and couple that, so there's more authority to investigate, coupled with the Patriot Act opening up collection and other, so you have this flood of information coming in, and so how the government reacted to that is profiling, right? We can't look at everybody, so who are we afraid of? We're afraid of this group, we're afraid of that group, so we're going to profile.
It stopped being a criminal predicate and it became racial profiling.
Racial, ideological,
that
all
was
kinds
the
of
filter, the filters that started being used.
Right, so in 2014, the Obama administration codified a policy the FBI had implemented in December of 2008. So just as the Obama administration is coming in, they implement a program, they very carefully try to mask by calling it the Racial and Ethnic Mapping Program. Right? I believe that program was illegal, and I told the Obama administration's Justice Department, look, here are the rules that are the Justice Department rules. This is clearly illegal the way the FBI is doing this. In 2014, the Justice Department changed the rules to authorize it. So there is in this country a racial and ethnic mapping program run by the FBI where they map every community by race. And they're not map makers, right? They're not drawing pretty pictures to put on the wall. They're drawing those lines because they're treating people on one side differently than the way they're treating the other people on the other side. And that is, in my mind, community profiling, right? That is exactly what we don't expect them to do.
So-
And that's why it's even more important. It's a crisis that there's a very lack of diversity within the agency itself.
Right, exactly. When you have very few people inside to say, kind of like when Jahar Zarnaev, the brother of Tamerlan Zarnaev, went on trial. At one point, the FBI agent was putting up his tweets to show how dangerous he was. And the defense attorney had to point out to him, that's actually a 50-cent lyric. That's not really a political statement. Where somebody,
If it is, it'll be thousands of people making the same
with
statement.
the FBI being less diverse, there's less pushback within the agency about who they're targeting. And the perfect example is Terry Albury, who was the only black agent in Minneapolis, who was working at the airport and saw a program. The government alleges he's the one who leaked the information. He pled guilty and he's in prison now because he, according to the government, leaked information about a program to target people from Yemen coming off planes to try to coerce them into being informants, and other FBI programs of racial profiling. And what his lawyer said was he had a crisis because there was nobody that he could talk to. He was on this island seeing something that he knew was wrong, but that his colleagues thought was just fine, and the only way he thought he could do something was letting the public know. And, he's in prison. And as far as we know, I'm not aware that that program has stopped.
I think we have time for one.
Well, I think someone over there,
Over.
someone there, and then I want to squeeze one in.
Okay, great.
Okay, hi, Lynn Perlmutter. And you've spoken a lot about all of the data that's being collected with the more power, and that